Today we're looking at Algebra 2, test number 16 or week 16. I think we only got through about 13 tests. But we're going through inverses of quadratic expressions. The first question says, write the expression as a polynomial in standard form. Standard form, remember, it counts down. The exponents count down. So you have x to the fourth plus x to the third. It counts down like that, plus x squared. It just goes down till it gets to the constant where it doesn't have any x. All you got to do for this one is it has two binomials, so FOIL it. So how do we do this one? How do we FOIL? Yeah, first, outer, inner, last. FOIL is not an absolute way to do this. It's just a way to remind you to make sure to multiply everything by everything else. It's just like distributing each of the terms x and -2. Yeah. So when you FOIL this, multiply x times x. That's first. So x squared. You got to know that means x to the 1 plus 1. That's the only part that's really kind of tricky right there. X times 4 is plus 4x. That's the outer. So that's first and outer. Then do inner, the two that are closest to each other on the inside. -2 times x is -2x. And then do last. -2 times 4 is -8. So x squared plus 4x minus 2x. These two, 4x and -2x, can be put together. 4 minus 2 is 2x. It's positive. So x squared plus 2x minus 8. Is this in standard form? Does it count down? X to the 2, x to the 1, then no x. That's the correct answer right there. All right, this one, number 2, is simplifying the sum. This is just taking polynomials, and unlike number 1 where we were multiplying them, now we adding them up because it has a plus in the middle. So you just add the ones that have like letters and like exponents. This one right here, 7u to the third and 7u to the third. They both have u to the third. You're not multiplying them right now, so you don't add u to the 3 plus 3 and get u to the 6th. It stays u to the third or u cubed. You simply add 7 and 7 and get 14. You add the exponents. So 14u cubed. Then look and see how many u squared you have. You have that one there. But on the one on the right, -5u is not u squared. So you don't add those two together. You simply write in plus 4u squared. It stays just like it is. Then you look for one that has the next exponent down. We had 3, we had 2. Now we're looking for u to the first power, and there's only one of them here. So minus 5u. And then you look for the last part is the constant numbers, the ones that have no u's right here. So 6 plus 5 is positive or plus 11. We can't combine any more of these because they have different exponents. It's in standard form to the third, to the second, to the first, and then no exponent at all. So that's simplified. Number 3, simplifying the product. You just distribute in 8x to the third to both terms. It's just like having 8 times 4, but now you got to distribute the variables as well. 8 times 4, do that one first and get 32. And then do x to the third times x to the 6, which means x to the 3 plus 6, which is 32 x to the 9th. Do the same thing, but do 8x cubed times 2y cubed. You still multiply 8 times 2 to get plus 16. But now you have two different variables, x and y. You can't add those up. You can't add 3 plus 3. So it simply becomes 16x to the third, y to the third. You just write them right next to each other. And we can't combine these because we have 1x to the 9th and we have 1x to the third, which means those are not like terms. That's simplified. Do the same thing with number 4. Multiply 8 times 2 and get 16. You got 8 to the 5th times 8 to the 5th. That means 8 to the 5 plus 5, which is 16, 8 to the 10th. Do the same thing with the other side of it. 8 to the 5th times -5b. Don't forget the negative. 8 times -5 is minus 40. Again, just like number 3, you're not multiplying 8 times a anymore. You have 8 times b, or 8 to the 5th times b to the 3rd. You can't do anything but write them next to each other. A to the 5th, b to the 3rd. And that's all we can do. And again, that's all we can do because you can't combine them at the end because in order to add or subtract, they have to be exactly the same. All right, 5 and 6 are going to be the same thing. You're just going to multiply. You're going to make sure to distribute what's outside. We'll go a little bit quicker through these. 5a to the second times 3a to the fourth is 15a to the sixth. Remember, add 2 plus 4. 5a times 3b is plus 15ab. Again, you can't add those up because one is a and one's b. They're different. Do the same thing with number 6, except make sure you multiply. It's a trinomial by all three. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. P to the 1 plus 2. This is a very common mistake. People will write p squared right here. They'll forget to add p to the 1 plus. Yeah, a correction was just brought to attention, everybody. When you go back to number 5, when it says 5a squared times 3b, it's just 15a squared. And I'm writing 5. 15a squared. Forgot the square. Don't do like that on a test or you'll make a mistake. Negative 24, p to the 1 plus 2 is p to the third. 8p times 6p is plus 48. You got p to the 1 plus 1 again, which is p squared. And then 8p times negative 2, don't forget that negative, is negative 16. And that's the only p that's available is the one that you brought into it. So that's it. Negative 24p to the third plus 48p squared minus 16p. It says identify the vertex and y-intercept of the graph of the function. Okay. So if we look in, this is in vertex form. We know it says x minus h squared plus k. Remember, it doesn't matter if you remember which one's h and which one's k. Just remember that it's the opposite of whatever this says. So the x value, that says negative 2. Your x value is 2. And it's exactly whatever this one says. That's positive 4. So that's your vertex right there, 2, 4. Then the y-intercept is not as easy, but it is at the same time. If you think of what a graph looks like, it doesn't matter. Like this one is a parabola, so it's going to look something like this. But think about what the y-intercept is. You know that this is the y-axis here. This is where it's intercepting through it or it's crossing through it. Most people are familiar with that term intercept from football. It's not exactly the same way it's used, but it is going through the path. So that value right there, in order to find that value, its x value is 0. Because notice from the origin, it doesn't go to the right at all or to the left at all. So its x value is going to be 0, comma, something else. So you find the y-intercept, just like you did for a linear equation, you plug in 0 in place of the opposite 1. So we have now is we have the equation y equals negative 3 times x minus 2 squared plus 4. Plug in 0 in place of x. So y equals negative 3 times 0 minus 2 squared plus 4. And all we did is if you look at it now, all we have is one variable, y. We're just solving for that one. So do what's inside parentheses first. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Then square negative 2 and you get the number 4 times negative 3 plus 4. That's what y is equal to. Then do your multiplication. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And then negative 12 plus 4, y equals negative 8. So you're right here, 0, negative 8 is your y-intercept. So this is your vertex, the one we found first, and your y-intercept is 0, negative 8. That's where it's going to cross through the y-axis. Okay, we're factoring now. This is a binomial number 8. All you can do is pull out what they have in common. They both have an x for sure, and they both have a negative 1 for sure. So it's like negative 1x. Then just ask yourself, what do I have to multiply negative x by to get negative 5x squared? Yeah, just times 5 and times x because you got to add x plus x to get x squared. And then what do you have to multiply negative x by to get negative 8x? Yeah, it's just positive 8. Make sure you don't put a negative 8 there, because then a negative times a negative will get you a positive. Yeah. For number 9, we got a trinomial now. It's not a binomial. So for a trinomial, you need to make 2 sets of parentheses to make this one work. X times x is the first one, because when you FOIL or you take the f times the f, the first ones, you get x squared. In order to get the rest of them, we have to factor out 21. You have to factor out the c value. We're familiar at this point with quadratics with ax squared plus bx plus c. So you got to factor out 21. Luckily, that one doesn't have a whole lot of factors. 1 and 21 are easy. 2 doesn't go into it because it's not even, but 3 and 7 go into it. And those are basically the only ones that go into 21. In fact, that's the only factors. So what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, out of those pairs of factors, 1 and 21 or 3 and 7, which ones can you add together? Oh, let me take that word back. Which ones can you combine? Don't think of it as adding. Either think of it as just combining and them being positive or negative. What I mean by that is this. When you combine 1 and 21, the only possible answers you're going to get are 20, either positive or negative. And that's why I'm saying don't think of it as adding or subtracting. It's either 20 or you're going to get the number 22. And again, it's either going to be positive or negative. Those are the only 2 different kind of outcomes you're going to come up with when you combine them. That's not going to get you to B's value. You're looking for the letter B. Again, you don't think of it as negative and positive right now. Just think of getting to the number 10. Clearly, you can see that 3 and 7 are going to get you to 10. But again, if you want to look at the numbers they can become, that's either going to become some form of the number 4, so either 4 or negative 4, or 10 or negative 10. And clearly, we want the number 10. So we're going to go with those numbers 3 and 7. So it doesn't matter which one you put first right here. Put that one first and then put that one, 3 and 7. Then all you have to do is look at the signs to tell what you got. Look at the sign for C. It says plus. That tells you, if that is plus, that tells you they're the same. Right away, that tells you they're the same. Once you know that they're the same, that means it's going to say x plus 3, x plus 7, or x minus 3, x minus 7. The same sign. Look at the sign in front of B. It says negative. That means they're both the same. They're both whatever that one says. So this is your factored version of number 9, x minus 3, x minus 7. We're going to go a little bit faster through number 10 because it's the exact same thing, except with different numbers. Again, it's a quadratic with no a value. That's the key with these. So it's x times x. Your a value is simply 1. Factor out 40. Your factors of 40, 1 and 40, 2 and 20. 3 times nothing goes into it, but 4 times 10 does. And then 5 times 8. And I heard somebody say 8 times 5. The reason I didn't do it that way is because mentally what I like to do is I like to count up as I'm going this way. I don't like to skip it and say 8 times 5. I say, well, 1 times something, 2 times something. That way I don't miss one. And then once you get to this part right here, the closer you get these two numbers to each other, you realize that there's no other factors between them. So right there, look at those pairs. You're either going to get some form with the first one, 1 and 40. You're either going to get 39 or you're going to get 41. Again, don't think of positive and negative right now. Just think of the numbers. 39 or 41. We're looking for 3. We're trying to get to the number 3. 2 and 20 are not going to get you 3. So the smaller the number, the lower you're going to go if you factor it out like this. 4 and 10 is either going to get you 14 or 6. And then 5 and 8 is either going to get you 3 or the number 13. That looks like the one we need. So 5 and 8, go ahead and put those in. Again, it doesn't matter which one goes where. Put 5, then put 8. Now, this one's different than number 9 because when you look at the sign in front of C, it's negative. The sign in front of B was positive, so they were the same. This one's negative. That means they're opposite of each other. That means one of them is going to be positive, one of them is going to be negative. So which one's positive and which one's negative? You look to B again, just like we did a few minutes ago. Look to the sign in front of B. That one tells you the bigger one. Whatever the higher absolute value is going to be plus. So which one has a higher absolute value, 5 or 8? 8 does, so that one's going to be plus. We know that they're going to be opposite of each other, so since that one's plus, this one's minus.